this result?
Yeah, well, I said to the guys in there, there's a storyline obviously to be created in this opening game, and we were the ones that had to try and create that. Obviously, the first half, I thought we were, by far the more aggressive of the two teams, which is not always easy when you've been on the road as long as we have. The woodwork and an inspired goalkeeper kept them in the game, but somehow, some way, that's what very good teams do, which Philadelphia are. And maybe to be expected, the second period was not as easy to find that fluidity and that rhythm that we had in the first period. And slowly but surely, they started to find a little bit of a foothold and a foundation. I've got to be honest, I still thought the goal came out of the blue a little bit. But the most important piece of the puzzle for us, obviously, starting this new phase of our world in this wonderful new stadium, was not to get beat today. Of course we want to win, but somehow we had to find the resilience to get at least something out of the game, and the guys did. So it's not the fairy tale, but it was, I thought, an incredible atmosphere and a wonderful game, and on another day we should really have come away with all 3 points.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open the floor for question break.
Gary, the build-up to the game obviously has been well documented. You guys have had to basically spend the first 8 games up to this point, working to get to this point. How do you feel about putting that behind you to maybe take some of that emotional stress off, to stay focused on actually what's really at hand, which is how you guys will be in the standings and go towards?
Yeah. Well, the challenge of the 8 games away from home is one thing. I think it's opening up that new chapter of brand new stadium. There is no history here for us. We had put together a terrific run of games at Titans, but really and truly that it doesn't represent anything for us now, given that it was a completely different venue. So we've got to work towards that type of form all over again. And I think my biggest fear was that the occasion might just engulf the players. They wouldn't be able to express themselves. We wouldn't be able to show the sort of qualities that we all know we're capable of. But, that's what talented footballers do. They're able to find that opportunity. They're able to, just mentally deal with the challenges and the pressures around them. I think we always knew as well that the fans would give us that extra boost. And when you see just what it was like out there, I think there's a fabulous opportunity, given the atmosphere, to try and harness that as a group. And we've taken our very first step in this arena, and hopefully towards just as a successful period as we had at Titans.
Yeah, Gary, you talked on the road trip about wanting to play in a way that made it easier once you got home to be the more proactive side. How did you feel like they did with that tonight, and how do you feel that the crowd played with that?
The crowd were magnificent. I think the guys realised from the very first moment they walked out for the warm-ups that, there was going to be a wonderful recognition of the guys being back at home and in this new stadium. And it really felt today like the acoustics were brilliant as well. I don't know what everyone else felt, but there was incredible just enveloping noise when things went well, which is different, to we've all experienced Titans, and you lose that cheer and that roar in the expanse of that stadium. In terms of how we were able to adapt, I thought we did a fabulous job. It isn't easy. If you look around the globe at teams, especially in the modern game, who have changed sites, have upgraded venues. All sportsmen are very superstitious people, and we're coming into a brand new home here, and it would be very easy to look at it and say, okay, we've got to clear our way through a lot of maybe hurdles to get ourselves on track again. So to see the guys start off the first half as they did was very, very pleasing, and I was really disappointed we didn't go in at least a goal up.
Gary, at the end, you guys were pretty spent at that final whistle, and you obviously want to get 3 points in the game.
Mm-hmm.
How important do you think it was for the guys in this game to try to get that second and send everybody home?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, we would have wanted nothing less than to have bagged all 3 points. You know, when you look out at the players and the way that they, you know, finally, you know, were completely spread-eagled on the field, I think the fans can only look down on that and just reinforce again what this group give for the team, for the franchise, and for the organisation in general, the fans. You know, they have drawn on every fibre in their body to try and make it work today and give them that victory that I'm sure all the fans wanted. But I can't believe that, you know, there were too many people in the stadium today that didn't see the opportunity was there, the passion from the team was there. The opportunities, certainly in the first half, were created to try and make that a reality. And in the end, it was a case of clawing our way back into a game that had got away from us. And we know that's not easy in this league.
Hey Gary, you know, just kind of looking forward, you touched on it a little bit, but you know, what do you need to do to make this a fortress, kind of like you were last year undefeated at home, albeit in a different building? And how important is that to kind of get underway immediately with the home heavy schedule?
Yeah, what do we need to do? I mean, I could only say first and foremost, if there was a way of making sure we had 30,000 people here every week, and I guess we play a big part in that. If we play well and we entertain, I'm sure the supporters will turn up in their droves as they have done. The atmosphere was terrific. I've got to say, I was, you know, having been in some very good environments, that was as good as anywhere I've been. There was a real terrific feel about it, and I know it's new, and I know there's going to be that, you know, initial sort of feel around the place of trying to make it, you know, a home rather than just a venue. But couldn't have wished for any more in that case. I think the second part is to obviously be able to reinforce that first half performance. If we're able to create the sort of opportunities and build the sort of pressure that we have done there, then I've no doubt against lesser teams, it might have crumbled. I mean, you look at the sort of pressure and the way that the goalkeeper in general has played. I mean, you see why Blake is one of the top goalkeepers in the league, if not the best. But he was absolutely inspiring for his team today. And I think that kept them in the game in that first half when things could have got away from them. I mean, one or two things that, you know, I come away from late on in the second period, there were a couple of reckless challenges that enabled them to get back into the game and maybe build a bit of pressure from dead ball situations that, you know, have not necessarily been our you know, strongest point, but the guys dealt with it well. And I'm sure in the future, as I've said before, that getting over this hurdle of the first game was always going to be a little bit difficult. But I'm seeing all the ingredients in the group that tell me that they're on the right track, and the way that the fans supported us today, you know, we couldn't ask for any more.
Yeah, sort of asked Gary, obviously, between Colorado and here, you played in pretty much every MLS stadium. You played in a place like Portland that's known for its atmosphere. As a venue, now that you kind of try this place on, what do you think are its strengths? And maybe also, like, what do you think it means for the franchise to be able to kind of leave the NFL stadium behind?
Well, first of all, I'll take the second part of the question. To have our own home is vitally important. As much as we were well catered for and supported there is no there is no beating your home stadium, and I know Ian's spoken about memories that you start to create. This venue now, will be the place over the coming years and decades that fathers and sons will come to and look back on and say, do you remember? So very, very important that we've started that on that road. Tell me the first part again.
Just how, what about the building now? What do you like about
Oh,
the
yeah.
strength?
Well, I actually, as I've said, was very, very surprised at the way that the atmosphere, enveloped the group and engulfed the building. And, of course, you don't know until the fans are in here. The stadiums that I've been in around the league, I would have to say, probably only the venues that have an enclosed atmosphere, and the one that springs to mind is Atlanta. When the roof's shut, it creates a very different vibe. There's no natural elements that are moving, the sound of the fans around, and it's of course bouncing off of every single angle, and you've got a lot of supporters there as well. But I've got to say, that's as good an atmosphere as I've been involved in anywhere around the league.
Gary, when you look at the game, especially in the first half, obviously you were saying that the team kept a good pressure and had three chances, and then things have been to change a little bit at the beginning of the second half. Was that because only obviously their good side, or was it something that changed in tactically what your team was doing to lose that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look back at any game, you'll be able to tell me multiple games where, teams have gone in at the break and they come back out the second period and you go, what happened there? Why didn't they continue what they were doing? Well, the 15-minute break does a multitude of things, It enables them to regroup and physically reset. It enables the coach to make a couple of slight subtle shifts maybe in the way that the team's performing, areas that they're struggling to deal with. And certainly for us, for the most part, it puts a plug in that rhythm. We're on the front foot. The fans are behind us. Now everyone goes to the concessions and comes back and, we're looking at a completely different picture. You've got to regenerate that in the second period. And unfortunately, we were unable to do that. Are there lessons to be learned from that? For sure. But the guys are only human, and if there was the opportunity to carry that first period on, I bet every single player would have said, yeah, let's not have a break, let's carry on. It was that enjoyable, and there were so many good things to come out of it. They're a good side as well. We have to take that into the equation. They're not in the position they're in the Eastern Conference for no reason. We've had extremely tight games against them. That's the fourth game that no one scored more than a single goal in 90 minutes. There's a reason for that. Both teams are ultra competitive. They've got a very, very genuine core to the way they work. And when things are going against them, they don't buckle. There are some teams that do. We don't need to talk about them. But this team that we played against today don't buckle. They got strong characters, and they stood firm. And you're in a serious game then. The first goal was always going to be pivotal. Unfortunately, they got it. If we'd have got it, I'd have been saying, have we been good enough? Have I been good enough as a coach and to adapt, and the players to see the game out? But they got it, and now things changed for us. We've got to get on the front foot, and we've got to find a way.
Steve.
9 games in, Gary, it looks like you have a fairly set 11 to start with. Do you think you have an impact on a player on your bench who can change a game right now?
Is that a leading question?
It's just a question.
I think there are a number of players that will have an influence on the team. Ake's 20 minutes that he's got today plus injury time, has probably been as substantial as any he's had over the last 8 games, which was great to see him out there, and I'm sure he'll benefit from that. He will have enjoyed being part of this occasion today, and rightly so. He will only get better. Do we have other individuals that can come into the game and help us when we're behind? Do we need to change shape? For sure. You know, guys like Hackinson have not seen the field as much as they will have liked, or certainly to have shown what they're about, and their time will come. And of course we're missing Till. You know, that's a big miss for us, but I think between the individuals we got, the ability to, you know, rotate those bodies in different positions, as you saw today. Randall spent a period of time after they scored alongside Dax. I think we have as we move forward here, the opportunity with a lot of the guys on the field and many of them off it to be a little bit more adaptable, to turn the screw, to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think ultimately it's down to the guys that are on the bench when they come into the game to prove that they deserve to be on the field. You know, anything that you're given in life, you don't really appreciate much. You got to fight for it, and then you appreciate it a little bit more. That's all I'm asking. Come in, do a good job, and there'll be an opportunity.
Like you mentioned how well Andre Blake played. Was there a measure of almost vindication after you guys had 2 penalties saved by him last year, and then Randall has not historically been your designated penalty taker? What was behind the decision to have him take it?
So first and foremost, yes, of course. The penalty shootout, you know, will forever be in the archives of history as, you know, a pretty dismal display from us. There was a very simple explanation for Randall taking the penalty, and that was that Hanny has been working incredibly hard at his own style, and he's going through a transitional period of what and how he wants to do things. And as with any professional, when you're going through that period, you need to work at it, you need to work at it some more, and you need to keep working at it until you are so confident that it becomes second nature. And that was the only reason. So when I think we both feel, Hanny is our penalty taker, when we both feel that the time is right again, he will be our penalty taker again. But he's going through that process of his own accord of wanting to be better than he was.
Coach, really competitive and physical games, especially towards the end. Really competitive games last year against Philadelphia. Even though you guys are in the Western Conference now, playing Philadelphia, playing Atlanta twice this season in the next couple of weeks, playing NYCFC, do you think those rivalries will kind of carry over even though you're going to be focusing on the Western Conference?
Yeah, for sure. You can't dismiss the things that have gone on in the past, especially when they represent the sort of magnitude that they do in the playoffs. Make no mistake, there's a lot of pain that people still carry around from the defeat in Philadelphia. So that only adds to the to the rivalry and the competition that you run into when you see them again. But I think as well, there's a healthy respect from both groups. I truly didn't see anything today that was outside of that respectful competition. From our point of view, certainly Daniel and Alex's challenges were a tad reckless and overzealous, but I don't think there's any real malice in that, just mistimed. And I'm not seeing anything from their side. They're ultra competitive, like a lot of their players. As I say, there's a very mutual line of respect here for both teams, and I think you can see that in the way the game unfolds and the results that have been borne out.
We will conclude today's time with Coach with a question from Chris Harris.
Coach, I'm just curious, with so much build-up and anticipation and emotion for today and all of the obvious energy that we'll be spending today, is there a way that after this is over, this is almost like a relief? And you're like, all right, we've done this now, and we can go forward and use this experience, especially with the string of home games that you have?
Wow, yeah. You couldn't be more on the money. There were so many different storylines that could have played out today. The expectation and the excitement that surrounded this opening game was huge, and to think that the players didn't feel that would be inhuman. A lot of this week has really been about be you. Don't try and be someone else because there's 30,000 people and it's the opening of a new stadium. How do we sow the seed or set the foundation of a new chapter, which it is in our young history, because we all forget that. I think everyone will go home, the players for sure. There'll be an inkling of disappointment that they weren't able to take the game, but I think when they wake up in the morning, they'll see that it was a titanic tussle, and unfortunately, we weren't able to win the game for our supporters. But yet again, we've been able to offer the sort of performance that I can only think each and every man, woman and child that's been here today has been able to think exactly what they thought of us before. That we're proud of our team. We've got individuals that are role models and heroes if we want to see them that way. And I think that's what the guys have done incredibly well in the first 2 years or more, and to build the sort of connection that they have done with the supporters here. Wonderful support, wonderful game. The only missing piece was a victory.
Thank you, Coach. We will be
Appreciate it.